Excuse me, yes, good evening. Can you just repeat the question?
Sure, Minister. I'm just wondering exactly what the nature is of the overhaul the current health system would have to undergo in order for NHI to be introduced.
Well, we said it needs a massive reorganization, not just reorganization of the present healthcare system, both public and private, because the present healthcare system is on a platform that will not be appropriate for the introduction of NHI or for the sustainability of NHI. Number one, the private healthcare sector, which generally is being praised for good quality and efficiency, is exorbitantly expensive. It simply cannot be sustained. The public sector has got problems of quality of efficiency. So both of them need to be massively reorganized to bring them in line with the NHI.
How do you propose to go about that task of reorganizing them and merging the two systems you've just spoken about?
We've already started. I said the biggest reorganization in the public healthcare system is the issue of quality. We've already started with things like the ideal clinic model, the SVS system to control stocks in our hospital, the chronic medication program whereby a majority of patients received a medication while they are sitting at home, the primary healthcare system, which is going to be the heartbeat of the healthcare system, where we have already screened 3 million kids at school, the district specialist teams that we have already put along. So there are lots and lots of things that can actually be done in order to reorganize the healthcare system. Now today when we released the white paper, we even showed the legislation as part of that organization, the legislation, a myriad of legislation that will have to be amended or be changed to be in line with the NHI.
Minister, is there now any further clarity on what this is going to cost the country and whether we can actually afford it?
Can we afford what is happening now?
Well, there's a good question. You're the health minister. Perhaps you can answer that. Can we afford the present
system?
Can you answer that? You run the system, Minister. You run the system.
Yes,
so tell us if you feel that it is too costly to remain with the current system. Tell us why.
Oh yes, it is too costly because this is the only system, Johan, in the whole world where so much money is spent on so few people. I released the figures today. According to the World Health Organization, in order to have a good quality healthcare system, a country needs to spend at least 15% of their gross domestic product on health. In South Africa, we are already at 8.5% of that expenditure. Now, if you don't understand what it means, it's on average what an average European country is on. It far exceeds our BRICS counterpart, because Russia is still at 5.4%, China at 4.6%, and India at 4.2%. So we are supposed to be producing very good results, but we're not. We are actually number last in terms of health outcomes. What is the reason? Because when you look at how that 8.5% of the GDP is divided, you will find that 4.4% is spent on only 16% of the population. 4.4% of the gross domestic product on only 16% of the population, and the remaining 4.1% on 84% of the population. That makes us the only country in the whole world, the only country on the planet that is spending so much money on so few people. And I'm talking here billions and billions, and that cannot be sustainable.
Minister, I understand you want government to do away with the tax incentives that medical aid schemes currently receive so you can start transitioning to the NHI. What do private medical aid schemes have to say about this?
Well, when we change the system, obviously, there are certain things that people will have to do without. And I explained today that I went to Treasury and asked them the rationale between tax incentives, because the tax incentives is a sum of 20 billion rand that leaves the fiscus to go back into the pockets of the richest people in our country, very rich people. And by rich people, I mean the 16% of the population who are on medical aid. I wanted to understand the rationale. And I was told that this issue started long before, before democracy, during the era of apartheid, where the government thought if the state encourages as many people as possible to join medical aids and give them incentives in the form of these tax credits and other subsidies, then these people will go away and buy their own health care. They won't burden the state. In other words, they will take what is theirs and go away, and they will no longer have to ask for anything from the state. I'm sure you and me, John, know very well that that's not what is happening. And I was saying the best way to understand it is about the prodigal son in the Bible, where the son went to the father and said, give me what is mine, what is part of my share in your wealth, and I'll go away. I'll no longer need anything from you. The father gave him and he disappeared. Then we know how he came back with nothing. And that's exactly what is happening. People are given heavy tax incentives and subsidies, but they still come back from the state time and again. If we give you a list of people whose medical aid ran out of funds and benefits in the middle of the year and they've had to be taken care by the state, you'll understand that analogy very well. And so we said then it means these tax incentives are no longer serving the purpose for which they are not serving the purpose which they thought they'll serve. It's just taking money back to rich people like you take coal back to Newcastle.
Minister, I mean, you're arguing for equality in the medical aid system here, which is extremely important. But you're also arguing once the NHI comes into being, there'll no longer be a need for private medical aid. But there is a genuine fear that government can't be trusted to run a scheme of this magnitude with efficiency. Look at the Isidimeni tragedy. Look at SASOP claims just yesterday that the mental health system is on the verge of collapse. Can we really be expected to believe, based on government's track record, that you'll run an efficient NHI?
Well, first of all, I'm sure you are aware that there's been a response from that professor who said the mental health care system is on the verge of collapse. I'm sure you are aware that no less a person than the ombudsperson himself responded to him. And this morning in the press conference, I also responded. But that put aside, NHI, Joan, or universal health coverage is not implemented because it's something that is nice to have. It's implemented to solve the very same problems that we have come up with. When the United Nations said we needed a system of universal health coverage in every country, it's because over the years, they've become aware that unless we change the manner in which healthcare is financed around the world, the majority of people will always suffer. There will always be big problem for the majority of people, as we are mentioning. There will be long queues where the majority of people are served. There will be lesser doctors to serve them. There will be no resources. There will always be strategies around the world, and there have been such strategies in the past. That's why they included the system of universal health coverage. When Britain launched this system in 1948, it was because Britain was in trouble after the Second World War. The British were poor, they were very sick, and they were unemployed, and they were suffering. It's then that they introduced this system. When Japan introduced it after 1961, it was also because of the devastation of the Second World War. You are aware that even America, which is the biggest economy on the planet, President Obama found that there are 20 million Americans who cannot afford the healthcare system, and they need to be brought on board, and that's why he wanted such a system. Now, the issue of not trusting government will only remain that, a lack of trust, but we will work very hard with our communities to make sure that this system of universal health coverage is not only a government system, it's a people's system, because it serves all the people of South Africa.
Thank you so much for coming in to talk to us this evening. Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi. More of the day's top stories when